Well, hello everybody. Part 2, decoder installation. Let me hang on just a few minutes to see if a few people pop in. Here's the old GP9. Ready for the decoder. So, like I said, I'll wait just a few minutes to see if anybody pops in. Otherwise, I'll start explaining what I'm going to do. I have my coffee here, got some water. What else do I need? I guess it's a busy Saturday night for everybody. See, there's a couple people lurking in the background. Like DES Media Productions. Hey, how's it going? Good to see you in here. I know it's kind of late at night. See, I don't even have my watch on, so it's about 8:30 or 9:30, I think. See, a few people have come on to see what's going on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and start this decoder installation. If my soldered iron works, I just kicked it on the floor a few minutes ago. So let's see, it still seems to be heating up. So that's a good thing. So here's the GP9 from the other night. What I have is I've got a TCS decoder I'm going to put in, a sound decoder. Wow sound, as they call it. Oh, there's Nathan DeLay. Hey, Nathan's up late. So here's the TCS decoder motherboard that I'm going to be putting in it. And then, of course, I've got all my wires way too long, as usual. But that's good because I can always cut off, but I can't add more. So my computer's behind me, so I can't see the chat real good unless I walk over there. So I'll do a few things and then look at the chat to see if I missed any questions. So I have the weight back on. Now on these engines, to get to put the weight back on the frame, you've just got 2 brass screws here, and then also a small screw at each end, and that's what holds the weight on. So once I put the weight on off camera, I did a couple other things. I took my wires, and you can see I put some Kaptan tape on them to keep them neat. I don't want to, if I have to take the shell off and on, I don't want to have to worry about pulling wires and things like that. So that's why I've got the Kaptan tape holding those down. You just want to make sure when you put the some tape or something to hold down the wires, that you leave them a little loose just so you don't cause any stress on these sharp edges. And you want to make sure that they don't interfere with the gears or the motor flywheels at all. And you can see nothing's touching the flywheels. There's just a little bit of looseness there, just so it doesn't over time wear on that sharp edge. And then the same on the other side. So I've got the 2 wires from each truck, and then also the 2 wires from the motor. Another thing I did is I glued in, and you can do this with hot glue or super glue, or like I use that stuff called E6000. It's a little stringy and messy, but it does hold, that's for sure. I glued in an LED at the back and an LED up here at the front where the light part fits in. So that's already done. The lights are glued in, and of course they're wires. And what I do from time to time while I'm assembling this is I check to make sure the LEDs still work. And just like with the motor, I use the 9-volt battery, and you can see if I just do that, you can see that rear LED lights up. And the same, hopefully you can see the front LED light up as well. So, yeah. So I just checked this to make sure I hadn't pulled any wires loose or anything like that. So now these LEDs that I'm using are from Evans Designs. And the reason I like to use them is they have this bridge rectifier on them. That bridge rectifier not only acts as a capacitor, or I'm sorry, not a capacitor, but a resistor, but it also allows you to hook up the wire either way. It doesn't matter positive or negative with that bridge rectifier on there. So Evans Designs, that's why I like to use their LEDs. Let's see, who we got on here? Derek, how's it going? Did you have the mill? Yes, I did, Derek. Well, I didn't have to because it already came milled. Whoever had it before, it had a decoder on it, not a sound decoder, just a regular decoder, and they had already cut out some of the weight, as you can see. They cut it along here, and so I don't have to worry about doing it. But yes, you will have to mill out some of the weight to make everything fit. Now to allow my little seating there for that last LED and this light cover, I'm going to use a smaller speaker that I bought off of eBay that came in the kit. So here's the speaker that came in the kit, and as you can see, this is just a little shorter. So, and you want to test fit all this thing before you put it together. So you can see. So you can see that. Here's the motherboard. So you can see I have plenty of room in here for both. And that's what you want to make sure, so that you do have plenty of room for both. And then what's going to happen is up here, there's going to be a keep alive. So now TCS has instructions. I printed these off, and they have it, but their GP9 frame was just a little bit different than mine. So, and you can see in their instructions on this page that they tell you what part of the frame to mill off. So basically, they would have taken this whole front part off, down to this point where it angles. They would have taken that whole thing off all the way back, and that's why That's why I'm just doing it a little bit different, because I didn't want to have to go into this frame anymore. So that's why I'm putting a little bit shorter speaker on it. This is actually, I've heard this speaker on another decoder, and it actually sounds really good. So I'm not worried about that. Hey, Kyle, how's it going? Sparky, what's Sparky doing up this late? So anyway, now TCS doesn't recommend that you use any flux on their motherboards when you're soldering wires, so I'm not going to use any on the motherboard. However, I still use my flux to keep the tip good and clean and the wires free of oxidation. So, but they do recommend that you use a flux core solder, and I forget which one it is, but you can go to their website and they'll tell you which solder they recommend you use. You can get it at, it's $50 a roll. It's a pound of solder, and you probably won't use it the rest of your life, depending on how many decoders you install. If I was installing decoders every day, I would definitely say go get some, but as few as I install. Yeah, I don't know if this is steel or lead. I'm not sure what it is, or if it's some kind of alloy. It almost looks like it's lead. But anyway, it is heavy. Like I say, you have to cut some of it off, though, to get the decoder to fit in. Now I dumped some of my pieces, some of my trucks on the ground. Because I haven't got the trucks back on. I don't do that till last. Because I am going to have to take these trucks and weather them somewhat. Now these are Delrin plastic trucks, just like the handrails, and their paint doesn't stick well to them. So what I do is I just dropped another piece as usual. What you do is take some stuff like Comet or Bon-Ami or Dutch cleanser, and you take a toothbrush and scrub it. And what that does, that puts micro abrasions on the surface and helps paint stick to it. All right. So let's begin. You see, like I said, I have everything taped up. My wires taped on the side with Kaptan tape. And so that's just to keep everything neat. The first thing I usually like to do is, of course, I do the wires to the trucks, and then I do the motor wires, and then I test it. So let's see how that works right now. Now, for the decoder motherboard, what I'm going to do is I'm going to stick it to the frame with some double-sided tape that I had sitting right here, and it has now disappeared. So there it is. Cut off, I've got a grungy end. So what I'm going to do is cut off a piece that's about the length of the motherboard. It doesn't have to be exact, but that's good enough. So that if I can get it to peel off. Hands just ain't working today like I want them to. Wow. So what I should have done is this. And I'm going to stick it over the top of the wire for the rear LED. Now, you'd think that that's not a good thing to do, but I think it's the best way to keep the wires neat. There we go. So I can now just stick this motherboard right on top of it there. I'm going to leave a little bit of room here for my soldering. There. Now it's on double-sided tape. There ain't no way it could short out. No possible way in the world, because of it being on that double-sided tape. And first thing I'm going to do is the rear trucks. So I can see here's the instructions from TCS on how to wire it, and I've got those sitting right in front of me. So just don't think I'm doing this all from memory. So the black wire's going in front and the red wire's going in back. So I'm going to cut it off to the length I need it, just leaving a little extra. So it needs to be on about right there. So I am going to cut it right just that short. There we go. And you can use either double-sided tape, or you could use hot glue to stick this down. I think it's a little bit safer using double-sided tape myself. And the black wire goes over there. So I'm going to cut it just a little bit extra in length. You want these wires to be neat, but you don't want them to be pulled as tight as possible. That doesn't do good. So, all right, let's see what the chat says. Yes, it is, Dave. That it is the same one. So now I'm installing the decoder on it. So what I'm going to do, of course, after I install the decoder, is I am going to then I'm going to start to detail the body, the shell, and after I detail the shell, I'm going to paint it and all that kind of stuff. So a little flux on the end of these wires, and make sure you're using flux for electronics. You don't want to use any kind of flux that'll corrode. All right. And I keep throwing stuff on the floor. I'm getting angry at myself now. because it's really getting annoying. All right, let me just tin these wires. You always want to tin the end of your wire by holding the soldering iron on the wire and let the wire heat up and draw the solder. And it's real hard to do with this stuff. So just be patient. Shouldn't have done that. There. Looks like my soldering iron's still working even after I dumped it on the floor a while ago. Okay, so these little pads, this the black wire goes to the front one, and the red wire goes to the back one on this side. So I'm going to just heat the work and let the solder flow. There we go. Same here. All right. And you should only have to touch it for a couple seconds. So now, if I think that this is too long, which it is, I can just cut it off a little bit. I don't want these leads to be very long. There we go. Just touch it. That's all we should have to do to it. Same with this one. This one's a little long. I can just clip the end of it. Oh, not holding it on real well. So let's see what happens. There we go. Now I got a good connection. Okay, so that's the motor wires up front, or I'm sorry, the truck wires up front. Now let's do the back truck wires. Or the front truck wires, sorry. I am just not with it tonight, that's for sure. Okay, so they're over here. Just cut it just a little bit longer than I need it. But not so long that it's going to interfere with anything when I start to put it together. Little flux on the end of the wire. Just to make sure the wire's good and clean. Oh, and here comes the cap. All right, now I've got to put a drop of solder on each of the pads here. Always heat your work and not the solder. Say that 1,000 times. If the solder doesn't just float in, like within a couple of seconds, pull the soldering iron away. All right, let's see how it works. Red in the back and black in the front. Usually, if it doesn't flow right away, you need to tin your tip a little bit better. And you always want a nice, shiny solder joint. All right, so that's the front wires. Now we have to do the motor wires. And since I replaced the wires on the motor, I don't know which would be the gray and which would be the orange wire. So what's going to have to happen is I'm just going to have to hook them up, and if it runs backward, I'm going to have to reverse them. So let's see. All right. Tin the tip of the wires by heating the wire. And now let's do the pad. Okay. Make sure the go. This is always fun working with these tiny little wires, let me tell you. Just give them a little pull just to make sure. Now, I can set it on the track. Did I turn my track on? Yes. But I've got something on my track that's metal. Hang on a second. Oh, no, I didn't turn my track on. I thought I did. Okay. Sorry about that, guys. I'm back. I accidentally unplugged my computer. Hey, Artie Zero's on. How's it going? Hey, Mystic John. I didn't see you in here. Good to see y'all. Okay. So, Mystic, you asked what gauge wires are 30. Yes, Derek, I will be adding a speaker and a keep alive on this. So I just, like I said, I don't know where we got cut off, but I had just soldered the wires for the motor, and we will see whether it runs forwards or backwards. If it runs backwards, I'm going to have to change the wires around. So, there we go. All right. So I don't have the speaker wired up yet. Should be able to put it on the track. Okay, and it should be, since I have not programmed it yet, it should be set on 3 as the address. And I don't know if these are 3 or 03. Oh, how about that? It's 3. Okay, so it's running backwards. So what that means is I have to take the 2 motor wires and reverse them. That's what it means. I hate pulling these things off once they're on there. There we go. Okay, so here's the 2 motor wires. It's not hard to do. It's just when I'm working with such tiny things, I hate to redo them. So the red goes on the front. There we go. Now, and the reason I don't put flux on the board is because TCS says don't. That's the only reason. So they say use flux core solder. So, all right. I've got it on there. Now it should be going forward. I'll turn my throttle. I don't know if you guys can see that. I don't know what I did wrong. Oh, I know what I did wrong. I'm stupid. I didn't put the motherboard back on. Well, I'll wait and put the motherboard back on. I know they're hooked up right. Not the motherboard, but the decoder itself. This part. All right. So we got the truck wires hooked up, and we have the motor wires hooked up. So that's good. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to hook the lights up. The lights go back here on these 2 corner ones. I'm not getting very good stickiness there. So, all right, let me go back to the chat, look at the chat, and see if I missed anything. So, Mystic, if I didn't answer you, they're 30 gauge wires, and I just bought them off of eBay, I think. Yeah, you can change it in the decoder programming, Derek. I just haven't done it yet. I wanted to get everything hooked up before I programmed the decoder, so I haven't got that far. All right. So I'm going to hook up the rear lights. I'm going to tin my the tip of my solder iron first. And so all I do is touch it. Same for the other one. It's being a little persnickety since tape's not holding real good. There we go. All right. Now I can put my wires back here where they belong for the tail light. Okay, so here is the rear light, and this is just a hair long, so I'll cut it. Once I get said, one thing I like about these Evans LEDs is just because they have this bridge rectifier, I do not have to worry about which wire I'm hooking up. And I know my hands are in the way of this, and I apologize for that. It's hard to do this stuff without getting your hands in the way. All right, and then I'm going to hook the front wires up. They go up here. Stupid soldering iron. Actually, it's not the soldering iron. It's the person doing the soldering. That's what's wrong. Person doing the soldering. All right. Let's hook up the forward light. Trim this a little bit. So this isn't sticking like I thought it should. Double-sided tape. So I need 3 hands is what I need. All right, there we go. Now I'll stop and test it. Oh, I'm not going to test it because I haven't hooked up the speakers yet, and I don't want to put the decoder back on the motherboard without hooking up the speakers. So, and also the keep alive. Let's see if I can trim something real quick without. Yeah, that's good soft metal. Just flatten that out. All right. Show the speaker. Wires go up there. Pull all these wires out of the way. And this is one reason I leave them a little bit long, is so I can pull them out of the way while I'm soldering other wires. So here's the pads for the speaker wires. There we go. And since the speaker is going to be right there, I'm just going to cut off most of the speaker wire and then untwist it. Now the speaker wire, it doesn't matter on which pad you solder the speaker wire. Either way works just fine. Strip a little wire here. And you don't need to strip much, just a little tiny bit, because the soldering iron is actually going to melt some of the insulation back on the wire. Especially these small gauge wires like this. Twist them. And I'm going to put a little flux on the wire. And then see, really, this doing these decoder installations isn't hard. It's just tedious. That's all. Now I've got that, and then I've got the keep alive to put on, and then that's it. If I can find it. There it is. So with this little kit, the keep alive that comes with it is the Keep Alive 4. It's just a nice small set of capacitors. And what's going to happen is the Keep Alive is actually going to go up here with some double-sided tape above the shaft. So and it's funny, they already have solder on the pads for the Keep Alive. It's very nice of them to do that. So I'm going to cut that off about right there. And then twist the wires. And we'll flux on them. And the flux actually helps get the oxidation off the wires on a microscopic level. So there's a lot of funny little things that have to happen to solder correctly, and that's your work has to be clean, and the flux, like I said, keeps the oxidation off. And you always heat your work, not the solder. Keep the tip of your soldering iron tinned real well. So the blue wire goes on the side that says blue. How about that? And the black wire, which is really a black and white wire, goes on the side that says black. Sometimes it's just hard to do these little wires. Especially the older you get. There we go. So now I've got everything soldered on. I can put the motherboard on. And I'm going to leave that kind of under there. There, push, not the motherboard. I'm sorry, the decoder. Keep saying motherboard. Motherboard's the red one, the decoder's the green one. And you'll find that some brands like Tsunami, you know, the soundtracks, they just have one board. So there we go. Wow, how about that? It wants to go. And where did I lay my throttle? Oh. Ah. Let me turn this down so you can see. There we go. All right. So you can hear it, obviously. Now what I need to do is go down and get my power cab to do the programming, because I can't program with this. Oh, I took it up off the track and there's still sound going, so that means my Keep Alive is working as it should. So let me see how far I can stretch my camera. Hang on a second. I have something laying on my camera, and that is my Dremel. And you know what? I'm going to disconnect the camera for just a moment. So don't think I went anywhere, because I have another extension to my USB. Hold on. There we go. How's that? Now I can stretch my camera even further down here, so I can show you the programming side of it. And I don't want to stretch it too far, so I don't want to pull the computer off the stand. Hang on a second. I know y'all are getting dizzy Here, I'll let you look at some of my freight cars while I'm doing this. There we go. That's probably better. And then I can. Whew! Uh-oh! I stepped on the cat. Didn't realize he was underfoot. I'm sure y'all heard that. Poor cat. All right. So here's what we need to do. I don't have a dedicated program track, so I'm going to pull my other locomotives off. Right, now I got all my locomotives off the track, so I can go ahead and use this to program my okay, so I don't know if you've ever know it's hard to see down here, but that's as far as my throttle will pull and as far as my camera will go the other way. So hopefully you can kind of see what I'm doing. Let me check the chat one more time. Sorry, buddy. I stepped right on you. Oh, Weathering with AJ. How you doing? CD Railroad and HO Scale. How's it going? Derail Daryl. How you doing? Oh, John Dilly. How's it going? All right. Yeah, he was. He was trying to be supportive. All right. So, hope you can see what I'm doing. Here's the locomotive. I'll put it down closer to the camera. Can you see right there? There we go. Okay, this is the back. This is the front. So I am going to program it. Standard programming. And there's nothing else, no other locomotives on the track. So, okay, it sees the manufacturer, sees the decoder version. And this is going to be 4163. So the short address is going to be 163. Yes. Long address is going to be 4163. And I'm activating those. And then I'm just going to go through a bunch of enters. There we go. So now it's 4163. Okay, so the problem is here, I have a problem with my lighting functions. So my rear light's coming on when it's going forward, and when I change the direction to reverse, the forward light's coming on. So I can do that. I can flip that around with the programming. So what I need to do now is I'm just going to program two variables. Forget. Five, yeah. So CV2 and CV5. I had a locomotive that was on here. It was 3, and this thing gets confused if you got 2 locomotives with the same address. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to program it on the main CV2. I'm going to put the lowest value, which is 0, and then CV5, the highest value. So CV2 is the start voltage, and CV5 is the voltage at the highest speed. So I always start out like that, and then I mess around with it from there. So that's speed step 1 now. And I'm going to go in, of course, and reprogram the horn and the motor. Right now, it sounds like it's got a turbo motor on it. So, of course, I'm not going to do that. And one other thing, since I took it completely apart, I'm going to have to break it in a little bit too, because I notice it's hesitating some. And hopefully it just needs breaking in. But there it goes. There's the decoder installation. Now all I got to do is neaten up the wires, so I can get the shell on. And of course, somehow set the set the lights up so they work in the reverse way. Yeah, and I'm going to set the forward and reverse momentum as well. That's what I need to set. I think that's, CV3 and 4 is the momentum. So I am going to do that real quick. And I set CV3 and 4 the same, the momentum the same for, slowing down, how much it slows down, how fast it slows down, and how fast it speeds up. And the reason I set them the same is because they don't come from the factory the same. But I set them the same because if I put it in a consist, it's got to slow down like the other locomotive in the consist. And that locomotive may be going forward or backwards. So that's why CV3 and 4 need to be set. And I'm going to start off just setting it at 20. And so that should work. See how fast it slows down and speeds up and reverses. So, 20 works about right. And that's usually what I have set up. It depends on the locomotive. You might have to change that just a little bit when the con system. So, yeah, it seems to be a little jerky. And of course, I know it's not because of the wheels or the motor. I think it just needs to be broken in because I know there's nothing interfering with it. Could be that I need a little more lubrication on it, but I'll wait to do that because I don't like to lubricate it a lot if I don't have to. So there we go. Decoder's installed. Just make sure when you do it that the wires are neat in there so that when you put the shell on, you don't have the wires pressing down on any part of the motors, the drivetrain or the motor or the flywheels or anything like that. That's the big thing you got to do. That's the hardest thing to do when you're installing a decoder, is getting the wires in there real neatly. So just remember that. All right. Let me bring you back this way to me, and we will wrap it up. Yeah, you have to speed match. If you're running a consist, you've got to speed match. Yeah, CV. I know JMRI. You can adjust easily. I just don't have my stuff hooked up to JMRI. Not my. Not that it's not easy. I just haven't done it. I mean, I'm using the manifest out of JMRI, but that's all I'm using. And with the NCE power cab, it's pretty simple to adjust CVs, so it's not. Hey Tim, how's it going? I didn't say hi to you, I don't think. Whether my outfit is, what are you trying to rate my outfit? Yeah, Derek, I am wearing clothes. I hope most people wear clothes, especially when they do live streams. Yeah. Yeah, good thing you can make any locomotive run, and you can go, even if you have to replace the motor. It's not a big deal on these things. I mean, you saw how I had it apart. So no, I did not check the current draw on the motor. Sure, Mystic. Yeah. I forget. All right, somebody tell me how you get to the current draw on the NCE power cab to check the current draw. Somebody tell me how you do that. Oh, Daryl, I will be weathering this because I am going to the next video I do on this particular locomotive is going to be is going to be detailing it. It's a GP9, so I'm going to detail it for KCS and also, put the vents in it and all the radiator vents and everything like it's supposed to have. Put the sunshades on it, the armrest, all that kind of stuff. I'm gonna super detail this one, and I'm gonna do that as well. So, and then once I detail it, of course, I'm gonna do a live stream painting it, and then another one weathering it. So. Yeah, I've seen people do that, check the current draw, but I've never done it. I never see anybody explaining how to get to the current draw. I just see them doing it, and I'm like, how'd you get there? I'm sure it's pretty simple. Well, I know you can do that on a multimeter, but you can actually do it on the power cab itself. See it weathering? Take it easy. You can actually do the current draw on the power cab itself. I just don't know how to do it. Oh, Soundtracks has a video on the procedure. Okay. I will have to look at that CV. I might have to go in, if it doesn't straighten out after I run it back and forth a while, I might have to go in and change the brushes or something on the motor. Which I hate doing, because if I do that, I've got to unsolder all those wires. And then after I unsolder them all, then I have to replace the motor and resolder them all. Yes, that's true. If the current draw is too high, the decoder could malfunction. Absolutely. That's why I need to figure out how on my power cab to do that. I don't know. And I'm going to go watch that video CV that you recommend and see exactly how to do that. It could be current draw. It could just be that after I took it apart and cleaned it, it hasn't, the lubricant hasn't distributed quite evenly yet. So I don't know yet. Yeah, Tim, I'll be glad to. And if you're still planning on coming down, bring a couple with you, whenever that is. I know sometime next year you said you were headed this way. Welcome to bring a couple locomotives with you. One thing I know is not the problem is the wheels, because they're brand new. So I'll just run it down here real quick. It seems to even be just running better now, just running it back and forth a few times. We'll see. Oh. I didn't have that switched the right way. It almost derailed it. I hear a little bit of the plastic gears kind of scraping, so it could just be that. Might need a little more lubrication. So. That's what happened with my NP15. My NP15, I actually had to run it a while for it to get all the bugs out of it. You know, it could be just that could be just a matter of lubrication. So, well, Mystic, how do you go about selecting a decoder? It depends. I like TCS WOW decoders and I like Tsunami decoders. They both have their pros and cons. Um, the TCS decoders. One thing I really like about them is their horn quill, especially for their crossing horn. You know, it gives that little short start to the horn before it goes into the full horn, and I like that. Uh, Tsunami doesn't have that. Um, the advanced consisting, I think, is a little bit better on the Tsunami decoders because it seems to take whatever's loco's in the lead and use the horns for it. And I have trouble with that on the TCS decoders. I usually have to quiet one of them, or it will get rid of the auto horn stuff once you consist. So it's a toss up. The good thing about the TCS decoders is they make specific ones for specific installations. Um, my Derek answered my question. Look back 7 messages. Push program escape 6 times when it says set parameters, press 1. Oh, okay. Press 1 for yes to display the track current. Oh, well, that's cool. Let's see if that works real quick. When did you do it? That's strange. Oh, there it is. I missed the stuff. So, it is drawing. So at the peak, it was drawing 0.67. It jumped up to 0.67, but it seemed at full speed, but to go back and forth from 0.67 to about 0.4 amps. Hey, Lynn, how's it going? So thanks for telling me how to do that. So anyway, Mystic, what I was saying is the good thing about TCS is that they have different decoders for different installations, and even for switchers, which is really hard. Uh, you they've got decoders with onboard capacitors, so you don't have to worry about a separate keep alive. So if I was going to do one, I'd choose either the Soundtrax decoders or the TCS decoders. And that's as much as I can say, because like I said, they both have their pluses and minuses. TCS is good for some things. Like I said, if you're my MP15, I put a decoder in it, and that MP15 it fit beautifully with the the onboard capacitors. Whereas trying to put a keep alive in it would be a nightmare. Yeah, that's how I cut mine, Derek, is with a Dremel tool. Okay, CV, I can do that too. At full power, let's see what happens. When I hold it down, what's the draw? Okay. So when I did that, it peaked at 0.9 amps. So, but it seemed to be jumping a lot between mostly about 0.85 and 0.75 is where it was jumping. So I don't know if that's good or bad. Yeah, I didn't take any reading when it was on DC, so that's my bad. Like I said, if worst comes to worst, I'll put a new motor in it. And you don't have to buy motors that is made for a life like Proto. You can go on and because all of those motors are made in China, you can go see you derail, Daryl. You can go, all of them are made in China, and you can go and buy those motors from China on eBay. You just have to make sure the dimensions are all correct. That's all. Dimensions and how you mount it. If that's all the same, then do that, because you can pull the flywheels on and off, and I hope I don't have to do that, but if I do, I do. I don't know what the amperage should be, though. But 0.9 is was the highest. And like I said, really it was fluctuating between 0.75 and 0.85. And I don't know if the fluctuation is that good. Should it fluctuate that much? Like I said, I'm going to try to break it in a little bit more and see what happens. You know, and if it doesn't, I might might try to replace the brushes first. And if the brushes you know, can't be replaced, then I'll replace the motor. So. Might have blood on you. Just be patient. Get a good soldering iron. I have a weller that's actually USA made. I got it new old stock, but the new wellers are sufficient to do it. You don't have to have an adjustable temperature one, but if you want one, you know, up around right between 650 and 700 is what you want to set it. Oh, that's good to know, Derek. So under full load, like I said, the highest it got was 0.9. So, you know, I'm not sure what the amperage rating is on it. I'm seeing if it says it here in the instructions. It does not. Yeah, it doesn't say what the amperage rating. I'll have to go look on the TCS website to see. It's a TCS wow sound. I'm sure. Oh, here it is. It does say continuous amperage 1.3, peak 2 amps. So I'm good. So the continuous amperage is limited at 1.3. So I'm more than good. Yeah, I just saw it. Just saw it on the instruction sheet. It says right there. How about that? Get my hand behind it. So this one, like I said, the max pull on it at full speed with the sound and everything was 0.9. So I'm well under my amperage rating, so that's good. Because like I said, it can continuously run at 1.3, and it has a peak amperage of 2. So I'll probably once I break it in, I will probably never get it that high again, because I never run at full speed. In fact, I will cut the top CV down to where it can't run at full speed. Yeah, it is, Derek. I usually throw these things away, and oh, it's right here. All right. Well, I hope everyone got some. I hope everyone got some good stuff out of this. It's always fun to install decoders. I will, like I said, the next video on this specific locomotive is going to be detailing the shell. So I've got a lot of things to do to the shell before I put it all back together. So I'm going to detail the shell in part 3. I'm going to part 4 is going to be painting it. Part 5 is going to be weathering it, and then part 6 will just be the final assembly. Yeah, CV. And this motor, like I said, even though I took it apart and cleaned it, it is an old one. It's one of the older GP9s. So I'm not even sure if it's a Proto 2000. It might be a Proto 1000. It didn't come in a box. I just bought it off of eBay real cheap. But I needed a GP9. Well, I wanted a GP9. My wife will tell you I don't need any more locomotives. But I wanted a GP9, and it's the Phase 3 one. It's the one with the large fans on the top. So that's what I got. And like I said, being that I took it apart and cleaned it too, it might just need some breaking in. Maybe even a little more lubrication. I try to go real light on the lubrication. Yeah, that's true, CV. I'm still way below the peak, so. But I rarely, because I run 2 engines in a consist, almost always, except when I'm switching, I normally don't have to worry about running them at top speed. But you see, like you mentioned, under full load, it pulled 0.9 amps, so that's not even close to the peak, not even close to the continuous. Yeah, that's right, CV. You're absolutely right. Go tell her that. I'm not going to tell her that. You can go tell her that. But anyway, I hope y'all got something out of this. And if you have any questions, just after the live stream, just keep them in the comments. So, all right, everybody, take it easy. You have a great evening, and I will see you on part 3 in probably in a few days. So, have a good night.